The Lost Forbidden Teachings of Jesus. An ancient Christian tomb was discovered in 1945 when workers in Egypt found 13 leather-bound manuscripts which revealed more information about the sect of Christians called Gnostics, meaning they teach salvation through mystical knowledge. This sect was ultimately destroyed by the Roman Orthodox Church. Their followers were burned at the stake and their writings were destroyed. In the year 325 AD, we lost tremendous amounts of information. The Emperor Constantine, in the early Christian church, with the early Christian Bible, made decisions on what information to include and what information to exclude. What we know now is that at least 45 books were either completely taken away or tremendously edited into what we call today our Western biblical tradition. When those edits were made, we lost information that tells us everything is connected. Although the modern Bible has been greatly disfigured, it is nevertheless infused with the ancient secret doctrine. One of the manuscripts found contains the Gospel of Thomas. The Gospel of Thomas has been illuminated from the Bible because it represents a very different kind of Jesus. The lost Gospel of Thomas is very powerful because it is believed to be the actual words of Jesus as he was teaching those around him how to use the power of human emotion in their life. If the indigenous people knew it, and if the ancient people knew it, then why don't we know it? What happened to our knowledge? The Gospel according to Thomas doesn't tell a story. It's a compilation of approximately 114 sayings attributed to Jesus. Almost as if an audible recording of Jesus had been discovered. The opening words of the document read, "These are the secret sayings which the living Jesus spoke, and what Didymus Judas Thomas wrote down." Verse 1. And he said, "Whoever finds the interpretations of these sayings will not experience death." Verse 2. Jesus said, "Let him who seeks continue seeking until he finds. When he finds, he will become troubled. When he becomes troubled, he will be astonished, and he will rule over the all." We lost the information that tells us the language that speaks to this field. We know the information was lost because we are now recovering the information in the Dead Sea Scrolls, in the Nag Hammadi library, and in the Coptic texts. This is how we know this information was lost. The great secret of prayer is thinking from rather than thinking of. In the Gospel of Thomas, there are two very important keys of information that was written around 300 years after the time of Jesus in the Lost Gospel according to Thomas. From the Gospel according to Thomas, verse 48, Jesus said, "If the two make peace with each other in this one house, they will say to the mountain, 'Move away,' and it will move away." Verse 106, Jesus said, "When you make the two one, you will become the sons of man, and when you say mountain move away, it will move away." John 16:23-24 has been edited. The passage originally said, "All things that you ask straightly and directly from inside my name, you shall be given." So far you have not done this. Ask without hidden motive, and be surrounded by your answer. Be enveloped by what you desire, that your gladness may be full. I believe this means to ask from the heart and not the ego. Be enveloped by what you desire, because that is when your thought and emotion become one. You think of the thought of healing your loved ones, and you feel the love of that thought. They become one. And that is the language that this field recognizes. Neville the philosopher, in the early 20th century, in his book, The Power of Awareness, says, "You must make your future dream a present fact by assuming the feeling of your wish fulfilled." When a martial artist breaks a wood or concrete block, they are focused on what happens after their hand passes through the block, the end result. They know that if they think about their hand hitting the block, that it will hurt. They focus on the feeling and the thought as if the block had already been broken. That is just a metaphor for what we can do with the power of emotion, feeling as if the experience has already happened. The Gospel of Thomas represents our connection to consciousness and all that is. It is the knowledge that liberates man. People have tried saying this many times and nothing happens. But why? Because the asking is not done with the thought and emotion. To ask, we must speak to the field in the language that the field recognizes, in a language that's meaningful and that comes from the power of our heart. Our heart creates feelings of electrical and magnetic waves. That's the language the field recognizes. So when you create the feeling in your heart as if the prayer had already been answered, that creates the electrical and magnetic waves that brings that answer to you. The Buddhist monasteries in Tibet tell us that feeling is the prayer, and to feel as if our prayers have already been answered. Here are some of the sayings of Jesus from the Gospel according to Thomas. Verse 3. Jesus said, "If those who lead you say to you, 'See, the kingdom is in the sky,' then the birds of the sky will precede you. If they say to you, 'It is in the sea,' then the fish will precede you. Rather, the kingdom is inside of you, and it is outside of you. When you come to know yourselves, then you will become known, and you will realize that it is in you who are the sons of the living Father. But if you will not know yourselves, you will dwell in poverty, and it is you who are that poverty." Verse 5. Jesus said, "Recognize what is in your sight, and that which is hidden from you will become plain for you, for there is nothing hidden which will not become manifest." Verse 6. His disciples questioned him and said to him, "Do you want us to fast? How shall we pray? Shall we give alms? What diet shall we observe?" Jesus said, "Do not tell lies, and do not do what you hate, for all things are plain in the sight of heaven. For nothing hidden will not become manifest, and nothing covered will remain without being uncovered." Verse 7. Jesus said, "Blessed is the lion which becomes man when consumed by man, and cursed is the man who the lion consumes, and the lion becomes man." Verse 18. The disciples said to Jesus, "Tell us how our end will be." Jesus said, "Have you discovered then the beginning, that you look forward to the end? For where the beginning is, there will the end be. Blessed is he who will take the place in the beginning. He will know the end, and will not experience death." Verse 25. Jesus said, "Love your brother like your soul. Guard him like the pupil of your eye." Verse 27. If you do not fast from the world, you will not find the Father's domain. Verse 50. Jesus said, "If they say to you, 'Where did you come from?' say to them, 'We come from the light,' the place where the light came into being on its own accord, and established itself, and became manifest through their image. If they say to you, 'Is it you?' say, 'We are its children. We are the elect of the living Father.' If they ask you, 'What is the sign of your Father in you?' say to them, 'It is movement and repose.'" Verse 77. Jesus said, "It is I who am the light, which is above them all. It is I who am the all. From me did the all come forth, and unto me did the all extend. Split a piece of wood, and I am there. Lift up the stone, and you will find me there." Verse 113. His disciples said to him, "When will the kingdom come?" Jesus said, "It will not come by waiting for it. It will not be a matter of saying, 'Here it is,' or 'There it is.' Rather, the kingdom of the Father is spread out upon the earth, and men do not see it." Before the discovery of Gnostic writings, our only knowledge of it comes from a letter written by Clement of Alexandria, 150 AD to 211 AD, which quotes this secret gospel and refers to it as a more spiritual gospel for the use of those who are being perfected. He said, "It even yet is most carefully guarded by the Church of Alexandria, being read by only to those who are being initiated into the great mysteries." Clement insists elsewhere that Jesus revealed a secret teaching to those who were capable of receiving it. Clement indicates that he possessed the secret tradition which was handed down through the apostles. all people have drunk the water of forgetfulness and exist in a state of ignorance. Some are able to overcome ignorance through the Spirit of life that descends upon them. These souls will be saved and will become perfect, that is, escape the round of rebirth. And you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. What did Jesus and the great masters say about this language? It is the same, whether you're talking about Buddhist, Hindu, or pre-Christian traditions. They are all telling us that there is a field of energy and that we have the language to use that field. We think that we are born into this world, but the truth is the world is born in you. Whenever you place your consciousness through the mind of the five senses, you create this world we live in. There is a parallel world that coincides with this world that you can also experience instead of this one. To unleash the force of the divine matrix in our lives, first we have to understand how it works, and the science tells us how it works. Secondly, we must speak in the language that the divine matrix recognizes, and science cannot tell us that. That comes from our past, from our culture, from our history, from those who have learned and used this language for thousands of years. No, we speak of God's secret wisdom, a wisdom that has been hidden and that God destined for our glory before time began.